Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
You're listening to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Foreman. This podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. All right, guys, I have a lot of cool stuff to talk to you about today. Yes, if you missed my last podcast, the NBA is back, only with scrimmage games, but yes, it is back. So I want to start out by talking, about what teams and, some players, in my opinion, that look good so far in the NBA's scrimmage games. I also want to discuss, players leaving the NBA's bubble in Orlando, since that has happened, not too often, but, somewhat often, very recently. I also want to discuss ESPN's list on the best players in Orlando's bubble, so the top 10 players in the bubble. I want to talk about their list, and then make sure you stick around for my very last segment, because I want to discuss the NBA's all-rookie teams and give you guys my all-rookie teams, because last week I gave you my all-NBA teams, so I thought I might as well give you, follow it up with my all-NBA rookie teams. So make sure you stick around to the end of the show if you want to hear about that. But like I said, I want to start out by talking about the NBA's scrimmage games, because, that's what's going on right now. The NBA is back. If you haven't had a chance to watch some of those games, you can usually catch, there's one on every couple hours, I feel like, on NBA TV. And then if you have NBA League Pass, I think you can watch most of the games. So there are multiple ways to watch the games. They're going on. They've been going on for days now, if not almost, half of a week. So I want to talk about, some teams that look good, some players that, also look good. When you're talking about teams that look good, after the, stoppage of play, a team that we've thought that would look good is a team that does look good, the Los Angeles Lakers, okay? Like I said, they're a team we thought would come out and play well. It's a veteran team led by LeBron James, one of the best veteran leaders in the league. So, the Lakers were definitely a team we pretty much thought would come back and not necessarily miss a beat, but with the losses of, Rajon Rondo, Avery Bradley, we definitely thought that would have caused, a slight bump in the road, for this team, since those guys were, somewhat large parts of the rotation, especially Bradley on the defensive end. And we saw what he did against the Clippers this season. So he's had multiple big games. We knew the effects, the roles those two players had. That's why we thought maybe there would be, like I said, a bump in the road when these two guys kind of dropped out of the lineup. But no, it doesn't quite seem that way. Quinn Cook has played quite a bit in the role of Rondo. We thought that would be Caruso. He is expected to play a larger role, but when he did come and play in the one game he's played in so far against the Magic, he did not play too well. Only played about 10 minutes, fouled out of the game, actually. So that kind of explains, 10 minutes fouls out of the game when people were kind of expecting him to play kind of larger minutes in that game, since, it's been a while since he's played, and he's expected to take such a larger role in the lineup. However, he fouls out. Quinn Cook has played quite a bit, played pretty well. Nothing really to talk about, but his average play But the Lakers have played very well. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks pretty much because Seth Curry didn't miss a shot, hit like 6 threes, hit like 8 or 10 shots, didn't miss a single shot. So, in large part to do with, the Curry, Steph's brother, rightfully so, getting a name of his own, won't always be known as Steph's brother, simply known as Seth, maybe, almost as good as a shot, not as good, but, as far as the percentage from the field, he's second in the league this year. But anyway, that's why the Lakers lost. AD and LeBron only played the first half, a scorching hot game from Seth Curry. But either way, in the first half, LeBron and AD both got into double figures, both played very well. We saw LeBron, looking as fast and as fit as ever, looking like he is in fact still the best player in the league today, just in the small amount of play we saw from him. So they lost against the Magic, or the Mavericks, went and beat the Orlando Magic in their next game. LeBron didn't quite shoot the ball. He didn't shoot very well. 6 of 15, 20 points and 7 rebounds. So not the best showing from LeBron. He played more than just the first half in that game. Seeing the 15 shots, 20 points and 7 rebounds, obviously, but, didn't shoot it very well, only hitting 6 of those shots. We still saw the Lakers beating them. One of the highlights for that team, Dion Waiters gets 12 points, 5 for 9. JR hits some big shots, plays very well off the bench. Kuzma shines, proves or shows that what he is in fact capable of, and if the Lakers could get a 75% of what Kuzma did against the Magic, if they could get that every night, the Lakers, could be very close, or would feel a lot better about winning this year's championship. Kuzma went out there, went 10 of 13, 25 points, 7 rebounds, hit a decent amount of 3-pointers as well. Like I said, 10 of 13. So he went out there and shined, played very well, and he was the largest part of the Lakers' victory. Need to see more of that from Kuzma. Caldwell Pope, 17 points, 7 of 8 from the field, so he went out there and played great. They don't seem to be missing a beat despite the injury and the missing of Avery Bradley, so props to the Lakers, not missing a beat, a true veteran team. We'll see how AD, Anthony Davis, his eye is. I got poked, but I feel like he'll be fine in a little bit of time, hopefully at least. Didn't seem like anything too major, so that's the only issue for the Lakers right now. So they seem to be, hitting on all measures. So props to the Lakers. They are playing very well right now. Another team playing very well, the Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He came back and they're 2-0 so far. He's proving why he is probably going to be this year's MVP. And if he keeps playing in this fashion, hey, it could be rightfully so, right? He went out there in his first game, got 22 points, 4 assists, got 3 steals in about a little bit less than 20 minutes. So that's the usual for Giannis. Again, in 20 minutes, 22 points, 4 assists, 3 steals. That's an impressive stat line, for half of a game, not even. So, if we can see more of that to come from Giannis, the Bucks are going to be a scary team in that Eastern Conference. Heck, against the Kings, the Bucks scored 80 points in the first half. 80 points in the first half against the Kings. Insane. Giannis had 15 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Kyle Korver went out and got 22 points, 5 threes. Brook Lopez went and had 21 points, 4 threes. So the team is capable of nuclear showings, like I just said, 80 points in one half. Giannis only played that one half. Chris Middleton didn't have quite a very good game, but nonetheless that was made up by Brook Lopez and Kyle Korver, both having over 20 points and both having over 4 3-pointers, or at least 3-pointers. So didn't necessarily matter. Chris Middleton didn't play well. They go out there and beat the Kings. But is this a sign of what's to come for this Buck team? It's going to be Giannis dominating, and then a couple other guys hopefully can step up. But, Chris Middleton, max contract guy, a guy who is set to be an all-star and a star in this league, not always showing up in big games. He said himself haven't touched a basketball in multiple months. It kind of seems to be showing in a way, and he didn't play well. The Bucks are going to go as far as Giannis can take them, obviously. Either way, Bucks are 2-0, looking pretty good to this point. Los Angeles Clippers, okay? They are also a team that I would say is looking pretty good up to this point. Pretty good. They could be playing better, but, what I'm seeing is what the Clippers need to be seeing. They're 2-0 right now. Lou Williams went out there. He's in large part to do with their first victory. He'd get 20-something points off the bench, 20-something minutes, with, 3 or 4 3-pointers. Paul George, he's been playing very well as well, which is what you want to see if you're the Los Angeles Clippers. He has been the guy who has been in and out of the lineup. So has Kawhi, but he's been pretty much healthy. Paul's coming back from that shoulder surgery, saying he's saying he feels better than he ever has, which is awesome. Which is great to hear from a guy who has had shoulder surgery and who has been struggling. So it's great to hear that he's feeling better than ever, and it's good to see him playing in limited minutes. He's playing very well, shooting very well from the floor. So it's good to see that from Paul George, and for that Clipper team, if they want to win the championship, they need Paul George to be their second best player every single night, to Kawhi at number 1. And, they need to see a consistent performance from him, which has been the knock on Paul George as of lately, at least. So if they can see that, the Clippers, they are going, I see nothing but them clicking on all cylinders. Same thing with Lou Williams coming off and playing well. I'm going to talk about the whole Lou Williams thing in my next segment, so don't think I'm just avoiding that whole thing. It's not the 800-pound gorilla in the room or anything like that, okay? But like I said, Paul George is playing well. That's the key for the Clippers. Kawhi is going to go out there. He's going to be himself. It's the postseason. We know he saves himself for the postseason. These scrimmage games mean even less than the regular season means to him, and we know what the regular season means to him. So we know what he is in the postseason. He's going to go out there and give you 27, 28 points a night, 6, 7 rebounds, 5, 6 assists. So he's going to go out and do that. He's going to do it on both ends of the floor, hopefully guarding one of the best, the best opposing guards or forwards. So we know what Kawhi is going to do. But sadly, they will be missing Lou Williams when they play the Lakers on July 30th on Thursday, which I'm, again, super looking forward to. Listen to my podcast on Thursday because I'm going to be giving a preview of the games later that night. So make sure you don't miss out on my podcast on Thursday when it comes out. But the Clippers are looking good. They're 2-0 so far. Kawhi's going to be Kawhi. Paul George is looking good. I'm going to talk about Lou Will coming forward, but if he's going to be able to be there and playing, he's going to be a huge force off of the bench. One more team I want to talk about, the Oklahoma City Thunder, also 2-0. 2 impressive victories, might I add, for the Oklahoma City Thunder, okay? They went ahead and beat the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, I think Kemba Walker. I don't know if Kemba Walker played. I think he's back. Marcus Smart, Gordon Hayward, they were all playing. Either way, Chris Paul, Oklahoma City Thunder go out there and beat the Boston Celtics. Yesterday, Wednesday, they went out, it's Sunday. I'm sorry, I was thinking it's Thursday. Yesterday on Sunday. I was thinking this is for my Thursday podcast for a minute. It's for my Monday podcast. So yesterday on Sunday, they played the 76ers, the Thunder did. Thunder versus the 76ers. They went ahead and beat the Sixers. Yes, Embiid did not play, even though we've been hearing Embiid is in tip-top shape and that, he is feeling great and is all ready for this postseason run. He is sitting because of a slight calf, not injury, but they feel an injury maybe coming on, so he's going to sit and rest. I don't necessarily see that as top shape being ready. Maybe he's making sure he's in top shape by maybe he's feeling a little bit. I don't know. Either way, if you're in top shape, it's not necessarily a good thing that you're missing an entire game, but it's Embiid. It's what he does. But like I said, it's not about the Sixers right now. The Thunder beat the Celtics and the 76ers, both legit teams in the Eastern Conference, proving that the Thunder are in fact a legit team in the Western Conference. Not necessarily a contending team, but a team like in the similar boat of a Utah Jazz where they can give a team in the first round a run for their money, and they're going to make a team go 5, 6, possibly 7 games. Okay, will they win against these top level teams necessarily? In a series, possibly no, but they have a chance to, and they're going to push teams. So the Thunder are proving that they are, they're not a team you want to play necessarily in the first round. The Thunder going 2-0, also a team, I want to mention a team playing very well. A couple of other teams I didn't quite make the list of explanations or, me talking about them, but other mentions for me, the Pelicans, okay, the New Orleans Pelicans, they're looking pretty good, haven't had their guy, Zion quite yet, he just returned, I'll talk about that coming up, but, they haven't had Zion yet, they're playing pretty well, they've won one, I think they've only played one game so far, but they've won that game. They've looked pretty good. The 76ers are looking pretty good. Ben Simmons, he's playing very well. He's shooting the ball from outside, so he's showing you things you want to see. The Sixers are playing well. The Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic, he's playing well. The Mavs, they are missing some key pieces, their point guard and their Dwight Powell. What's their point guards? Something Brunton. Not Colin. That's right. With the high school. Something Brunton. They're missing their point guard. The Mavericks are, but either way, the Mavericks, the Sixers, the Pelicans, 3 teams that are playing very well so far, as well as the teams I mentioned before. Some teams, real quick before I take a break, that are not looking so good. The Washington Wizards, I think it's going to be a tough 8 seeding games if they make I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, so it's going to be a tough seeding game schedule for them. The Brooklyn Nets, missing a whole lot of their players, it's going to be a little tough for them as well. The Sacramento Kings, I think it's going to be a tough go about for them, as well as the San Antonio Spurs. So those are my teams that I think are going to be are having it a little tougher, and then those are my picks as well, like I said, from my teams playing very well so far in Orlando. If you haven't had a chance to go check out the games, they're going on through today as well, so go check them out. They're going on, I think, actually, up until they start playing on Thursday. So go on NBA TV, check out NBA League Pass if you haven't, and go watch one of the games. It's fantastic to have basketball back. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. When I come back, I want to talk about that Orlando bubble, people going in and out of that bubble. I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, guys. Like I said before the break, I want to talk about that NBA Orlando bubble. Some players that have left the bubble, and that it seems to be, I don't want to say a reoccurring problem, but that's what I don't want it to be, okay? But we have reports of, multiple players that have left, have come back in the bubble, that they've been allowed to, but I want to discuss this. Will it be an issue going forward? Is it an issue? Give you guys my opinion on it. But like I said, there's been reports of people going in and out of the bubble for personal emergencies, family emergencies. Some people haven't come back or are simply still quarantining for COVID, but not either way, or injuries, but either way, people have gone in and out of the bubble. And I want to talk about some players in that have gone in and out, and one in particular, the one hot topic in Lou Williams. And in the Los Angeles Clippers, because it seems to be a short-handed, somewhat, Los Angeles Clipper team. To name you guys some players missing from this Clipper team: Ivica Zubac, Montrezl Harrell, Patrick Beverley, Landry Shamet, and of course the famous Lou Will. Those guys, Zubac, Harrell, Beverley, Shamet, Williams. All those guys are all missing as of now from that Clipper lineup. So that's a decent amount, of guys from your lineup to be pulled out. All those guys, all five of those guys seem to have played a decent amount all year, and I feel like that will make an issue or have an effect on this Clipper team. How big of an effect, I'm not sure, because the whole, I don't want to say, how we think of this Clipper team, how I think of this Clipper team is depth. That's the first thing I think of is depth and how deep this team is. So when you're talking about guys not being there, the one team that it won't necessarily hurt that much is the Los Angeles Clippers. Okay, if the Lakers lost 5 guys that are key to their team, I think they would be done. They lose 2, and people are saying they can't win a championship. But the Clippers right now are missing 5 guys, not for the entirety of the time at all, just as of right now. I think if not all of these guys will probably be playing by the postseason. I think all of them will be playing. But either way, Zubac, Harrell, Beverly, Shamet, and Williams, all guys not there right now due to personal emergencies or COVID-19. So like I said, the short-handed Clippers kind of right now. Another player, Zion Williamson, left for some personal emergency, possibly related to COVID-19. He has officially returned to the bubble and is quarantining. At first, it was unsure if he would return for his first, for the NBA's debut. We know it was no accident that they had Zion being the first game back for the seeding games, okay, for the official return of the NBA. We know it's back right now for the scrimmage games, but for the first official game back, it's Zion and the Pelicans, and they did that on purpose. Zion playing equals eyeballs watching their TV. And it's been officially reported that Zion came back just in time to quarantine long enough that he will be able to play in the first official game of the NBA's return. So Zion will be back. Don't worry, we can watch him on Thursday at, I think, 5:30 or 6:30. It's 6:30 Eastern time where I am, probably about 5:30. So don't worry, Zion fans, including myself. I was worrying there for just a minute. I was like, I guess I won't be watching until the Laker-Clipper game, but Zion's there. I'll be watching the Pelicans play at 6:30. Hopefully you guys will as well. So don't worry. But back to my main point, back to the topic at hand. People going in and out of the bubble. We know the Clippers right now are short-handed. A lot of them, those 5 guys, aren't in the bubble or are quarantining because of COVID-19. But I have no problem with players leaving the bubble for personal, family reasons, for safe reasons. They're going to their house, or, they're going to their family, see their family or something like that to deal with a family issue. I have no problem with that as long as the players, like I said, are being safe, as long as they're outside of the bubble, as long as they are being safe, acting safe, doing nothing not needed. Okay, only going and doing things that are necessary. Okay, I have no problem with that. When what I do kind of have a problem with is when I think it's getting unsafe and potentially putting other players at risk. That's when I start having an issue. And yes, let's talk about the now infamous Lou Williams situation. Okay, so Lou Williams, he left the bubble for a personal emergency or a personal situation. While he was excused, it was an excused absence from the NBA. It was excused. While he's gone, we see stuff on social media. The rapper, I forgot his name, but we see him with Lou Will at a gentleman's club, as you will. Okay, a gentleman's club. So Lou, while his time out away from the bubble, went to had a dinner at a gentleman's club, with some friends, obviously. And who knows what happened at that club, at that place, at that establishment. But he went there before returning to that NBA bubble. I'm not sure if he himself was the one to disclose it to the NBA. But either way, it was all over social media. The NBA found out, and they had to investigate the situation. So I don't think Lou was upfront about his intentions about going to this place. But the NBA found out. I don't think they're necessarily going to punish him, because you can do, it's free will. You can do whatever you please. You can do it. You can't tell a guy you can't go somewhere. Maybe right now they can. I don't know right now as far as that goes. But as far as his quarantining process goes, the NBA knows where he went. He will be quarantined for 10 to 14 days, and he will miss 1, maybe 2 of their 8 seeding games because of his quarantine. It won't be an official ban or an official suspension, but either way, he's going to miss a couple games because of his elongated quarantine, because he did something that the NBA did not say was okay. I don't think this is a tough situation, guys. This is a very tough situation. They're in the NBA bubble. I understand they've been away from their families for weeks now. It's got to get boring and lonely in there. But I don't think he should have done that. And if he did, I don't think, again, he didn't be very upfront. He wasn't very upfront with the NBA in his intentions. I didn't necessarily tell them. It isn't apparent that he told them where he went. And if he didn't, who knows if he would have had to been quarantined for so long. So I think potentially there he's putting other players at risk, because who knows, what went on. But like I said, I don't want to just beat up on Lou Williams, because who knows what's going on in the bubble. I'm sure he's bored. I'm sure he's lonely. For some older players, I'm sure, like I said, they are getting bored. All I see some younger players do, and just players in general, in large part, they're playing video games. They're streaming. They're streaming, playing with other famous players in large part, or they're going out and doing leisure activities, fishing, ping pong, bags, who knows, et cetera, et cetera. And it can be boring. I can definitely see that it can be boring for guys who are used to going out in a lifestyle and going out and being, a social lifestyle. I can definitely see this being a tough environment for a person like that, probably a person like Lou Williams. And I bet it can be boring, lonely in the bubble. Like I said, he probably doesn't get into video games a whole lot. Maybe he's bored with all the leisure activities he's been playing. Yes, he likes clubbing. Hey, they got a club. They have a club there. They got a DJ. Dwight Howard said he was the only person to be there one night. But hey, Lou, go check out the NBA's all dudes club. Go check that out. That'll be fun, man. But again, I can see why he did that. Again, in his nature, he probably doesn't think it's that big a deal. It's something he's used to doing. Again, I don't, in any other sense, it's not a very big deal, but in this sense where you could be putting someone else at risk, it is somewhat of a big deal. I'm glad the NBA is making him, quarantine for the proper amount of time. I understand, but I disagree. It really could be unsafe, if they didn't nip this in the bud, and if it is something that is a reoccurring issue. Hopefully it isn't a reoccurring issue. The players that are outside of the bubble, like I said, a lot of that Clipper lineup, Lou Will, Zion's back now, Rondo's out getting surgery, so there are players out of the bubble. Hopefully, they take a page from this book. They see that it's not the safe thing to do, not necessarily the right thing to do or the smart thing to do right now. If this was a larger name player, wow, can you imagine the stories out there today? Lou Williams, a pretty high name player out there, but not too big a deal to see, this out there for him. But if this was like a LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis type situation, man, they would be taking some serious heat right now, I would think, from a lot of people in my position. Like I said, hopefully this is not a reoccurring problem. It can get lonely, I understand, but you got to get used to it, man. This is something you signed up for. This is what you signed up for in the bubble, and you have months, okay? The season hasn't even started yet, and you got to get away. So it's going to be tough for players, very social players, who have that social lifestyle. Gotta nip it in the bud. Gotta realize you're gonna be bored as heck for the next couple of months, but that's what it means if you want to get that NBA championship. We'll see how important the championship really is to some players. That's really, in my opinion, what it comes down to. How important is this season, this bubble, this year's championship? How important is that to these players? That is what it's going to come down to. Either way, like I said, hopefully they can nip it in the bud. Hopefully they keep, as many players as they can in the bubble. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. When I come back, since we don't have, or we have basketball now, so we probably won't be seeing this too much going forward, but we haven't had basketball since we haven't. ESPN released another list, their list, of the top 10 players in this Orlando bubble. I want to discuss that next. Don't go anywhere.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Alright guys, like I said before the break, I want to talk about ESPN's latest list, okay? I know how much we all love lists, but I want to talk about their top 10 players in the Orlando bubble. I I'm not quite sure the premises of this list, but again, they came out with this list. We are nearing the end of what I have called the, quote, list era, the sport list times we've had over the last few months, where we've seen a whole lot of lists, basically. Nothing wrong with that. A guy like me loves lists like these, so... But I am getting a little tired of them. We've seen a whole lot of them, but this one a little bit different, okay? Because some people are excluded. It's only about the players that are at the Orlando bubble, not every player. So that's pretty cool. It's only about the players in Orlando, and one of the last lists of the, quote, list era, like I said, that we've been in recently. But let's talk about ESPN's list of the top 10 players in the Orlando bubble. So let me go ahead and read you guys the list. Number 10, Jimmy Butler. Number 9, Nikola Jokic. Number 8, Paul George. Number 7, Luka Doncic. Number 6, Joel Embiid. Number 5, Anthony Davis. Number 4, James Harden. Number 3, Kawhi Leonard. Number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And at number 1, they had LeBron James as the best player at the Orlando bubble. So again, number 1 was LeBron James. Number 2 was Giannis. Number 3 was Kawhi. 4, Harden. 5, AD. 6, Embiid. 7, Doncic. 8, PG, Paul George. 9, Jokic. 10, Butler. So that's the top 10. That's the top 10. I like the top 5. Okay, I'm all for that top 5. I like it for the most part. Not a bad list. Okay, like I said, I full-heartedly 100% say the top 5 is the top 5. The order, I put Kawhi ahead of Giannis as of right now as the second best player, but either way, I got Giannis or Harden at number 4, AD at number 5. So cool. We agreed there. Cool. But 6 through 10, I got a slight issue with, or somewhat of a major issue with, should I say, and Paul George, yeah, he's a great player, but top 10 right now. Jimmy Butler, yeah, he's a good player, but top 10 right now. Jokic, he's really good, but top 10 right now. Embiid, he's in top 10, but at 6. Wow. I got some issues, like I said, with 6 through 10. I've talked about this before in my last couple of podcasts, if you've been listening to the GSMC podcast network for a little bit now. But Russell Westbrook recently was ranked outside of the top 20, okay? And not even the top 10. He was outside of the top 20 of the top players this season alone. He was ranked 22nd, 23rd on that list of players this season. So I wasn't necessarily surprised to not see his name, but again, where's Russell Westbrook? Where is Westbrook, okay? Paul George, where's his MVP award? Jokic, where's his MVP award? Jimmy Butler, where's his MVP award? Have they been to the finals? No, okay, so I don't, have they averaged triple doubles? No, I don't understand the knock on Westbrook, or the huge knock on Westbrook. Yes, he can be a bit inefficient. He can be a bit up and down sometimes. But the dude has averaged a triple-double for years in a row, has an MVP award, has been to a finals. What else do you want from them? Okay, so like, how is he not a top 10 player in this bubble? They literally put Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Luka Doncic even, Joel Embiid, and Jokic ahead of Russell Westbrook. I guess if it's all time, I don't know what this list is based off of. Is it all time? Is it just the season in the bubble? Is it a prediction of what's going to happen in the bubble? I think they already had one of those a couple of weeks ago, so I don't think it's that. What's the premises of this list? Is it just the best players? Just the best players? In that case, where's Russell Westbrook, like I said? Where's Damian Lillard? Where's, if it's this season, where's Pascal Siakam? It's just like, what's the premises of this list? I don't really understand it. And again, why disrespect Westbrook and Lillard again so much? Because this is disrespectful, in my opinion, put those players ahead of them. Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook. What is this list, like I said, based off of? That is what I would like to know. But the top 5, like I said, I'm all cool with that top 5. Anthony Davis, yeah, he's a top 5 player in this bubble. James Harden, heck yeah. Kawhi, yeah. Giannis, yeah. LeBron, duh. Okay, so yes, those are our top 5. We know that. Joel Embiid, number 6. I don't know if he's the 6th best player, but sure, I'll toss him in this top 10. Luka Doncic, yes, he's in this top 10 for sure. But then again, Paul George, Jokic, Jimmy Butler, maybe one of those guys can stay. You can pick which one you like better. But I'm not putting those guys, I'm not putting any of those guys ahead of Damian Lillard or Russell Westbrook. Either one of those guys, I am taking both of them over all 3 of those guys. That's just me, my personal preference. But again, what is the premises? What is the premises of this list? Is it this season? Is it all time? Is it going forward? What is it, man? They just said the top 10 players. So in my opinion, just looking at it, I'm thinking, oh, it's just the best 10 players. It's the best 10 players at Orlando right now. In that case, again, it's disrespectful to Westbrook and Lillard to not have them in the top 10, in my opinion. I really like Butler, what he's doing this year for Miami, what he's done, what he did in Chicago, okay? But in the all-time status, even, I don't think Jimmy Butler is the player Russell Westbrook is, or, even today's NBA, I would take Russell Westbrook over Jimmy Butler. So I don't understand the Butler being in the top 10 necessarily. I give you top 15. Paul George, he's close. He probably, if you're doing all the players right now, what he's done in his past all time, yeah, he'd probably be in the top 10 over Jokic, cause he's so young, and, maybe even over Lillard. I don't know. I'm probably taking Lillard over Paul George as well, but, George, I kind of understand. But Jokic also, like, he's been really good over the past 3 years, but like, we've seen much longer a longer resume of Westbrook, Lillard, Paul George, Jimmy Butler than Jokic. I understand he's being really good what he's doing, but still a top 10 ahead of these two guys. I don't quite know. Some people say he's better than Embiid. He's the best center in the league today. So I don't know if he's top 10. I definitely think those two guys should be. And like I said, Russell Westbrook missed out on the top 22 players, or top, he wasn't in the top 10, right in the top 100. It wasn't even in the top 20. So we see the continued disrespect of Russell Westbrook. Damian Lillard also, he's a top 3 point guard in my opinion in today's NBA. He's the NBA 2K21 cover athlete this year. So he's getting disrespected. I think Russ, him and Damian Lillard are some of the top point guards in the league, especially this season, especially in the league today. I only put Steph ahead of those two guys. Maybe you put Kyrie ahead of those two guys as well. But still, those are the only guys I'm putting ahead of Russell Westbrook and Damian Lillard. Again, no, I'm not putting Butler or Jokic ahead of them. They should have, we should have more to talk about going forward. Kind of dropping, going forward with basketball being back. We should have more than just these lists to talk about, which again, I'm really looking forward to. Kind of getting tired of these lists and stuff like that. We're kind of getting out of this quote list era. But again, where's the respect for Westbrook and Lillard? They both should be on this list. Again, they're top 10, LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, Harden, Anthony Davis, Embiid, Doncic, Paul George, Jokic, Jimmy Butler. I agree with the top 5 wholeheartedly. Those are the top 5 players in the bubble. As far as 6 through 10, I think, Paul George, a questionable player in there. Luka, Also could be questionable just because he's only been in the league for 2 years. Same thing with Jokic. Butler, not the player. Westbrook or Lillard is. So Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard need to be in there. If you're taking out Jokic or Butler or Doncic or Paul George, I understand, but or Embiid even. So I understand, but you gotta put those two guys in there. Don't understand the recent disrespect of Russell Westbrook. Damian Lillard, as of recently, has been getting the recognition that he does deserve. So I don't want to take anything away from Dame Lillard, but he's getting disrespected here. Again, Siakam, another player. What's the premises, though? Is my main and final point. What is the premises of this list? Is it just right now the best players? I don't know. I don't know if Paul George right now is better than. He's at number 8. Jokic is at number 9. I don't think Paul George is better than Jokic right now. So I don't know. What's this list about? I think they just kind of threw it together because we don't have too much we don't have too much going on right now. We are nearing the end of this quote list era. We're all looking forward to it. I've been talking about some of the league's best players, obviously, the top 10. What I want to do in my next segment is talk about some of the somewhat lesser known players in some case, and in another case like Zion, one of the more known players in the league. But I want to talk about the NBA's all rookie teams going forward, all rookie teams this year, in my next segment. So don't go anywhere. That's coming up next.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to my final segment of the show. What was that? Yeah, it's my final segment. Today's show, for me at least, it seems like it's flying by. A lot of cool stuff today. But last week, if you listened, I gave you guys my all NBA teams. Okay, it came out that the NBA this week is voting, or last week especially, is coming to an end. Today actually is the last day for voting, today or tomorrow. Either way, they're voting now for the All-NBA regular season awards. That includes MVP, Sixth Man of the Year, Rookie of the Year, as well as the All-NBA teams and the All-Rookie teams, as well as the All-Defensive teams. So we'll look for that coming forward. But still, the all-rookie teams is another team that is getting voted on right now. It's a high, somewhat of a high achievement to be voted on to the all-rookie team. You know, it's 10 players. It means you're basically, one of the roughly top 10 players in that rookie class. So it's a high achievement, and I want to go ahead and give you guys my NBA all-rookie teams. Obviously, I want to start out with the first team. A decent amount of, it was kind of close for me. Whenever I first sat down and decided I wanted to talk about this, I thought it would be pretty easy, pretty black and white, pretty clear cut, who would, make this list and who wouldn't. But looking it over, it was pretty tough. There was a couple of guys I was really debating with. So why don't I go ahead and shut up and give you guys my list. So first team All-NBA. my first guard, I gotta go with my rookie of the year, if you've been listening, Moran. Okay, the guy out of Murray State, the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies. He's the guy who has willed them so far to the 8th spot in the Western Conference. Not something that's easy to do. He has a better record than a team like the New Orleans Pelicans, San Antonio Spurs, Portland Trailblazers even, okay? So Ja Morant is the reason the Memphis Grizzlies are where they are in the Western Conference. He's averaging 17 points, 7 assists on 49% from the field. Again, he is the main highlight. Memphis is overachieving this year, so it's an easy decision for me or for anyone. Ja Morant is my first guard on my first team for my all NBA rookie teams, okay? First team, Ja Morant, number 1 guard. For my second guard, not someone everyone necessarily knows, not a huge name, but the guy in Miami, on the Miami Heat, the point guard, Kendrick Nunn is there at my other guard position, doing good things for Miami this year. I think he went undrafted even, but we see him averaging 15 points, 3 assists. At one point, he was up to the 18 point range. It dropped down to the 15. Either way, he sustained 15 points per game in his rookie season after going undrafted. So 2 rounds, no one picked him. The Miami Heat picked him up. We see him playing super well. At one point, some people were saying he was the rookie of the year before, Ja really started playing well and before Zion, was healthy. So he's been in discussion for the rookie of the year award. He's arguably third in that discussion. And he's my second guard on my first team for my rookie team. I like what he's done in Miami, and he's been a big part for their success too, I should add. For my first forward, I'm at the forward position. I gotta go with a Golden State Warrior guy, a guy who popped even though he went in the second round, Eric Pascal, okay, 14 points, 4 rebounds, almost 50% from the floor in his rookie year. Not something we expected from a guy, not something, a guy people saw coming even. So an impressive stat line for him, 14 points, 4 rebounds for that depleted Warriors roster this year. Kind of a benefit for a guy like Eric Pascal, guys like Damian Lee, Kai Bowman, another rookie. So those players went out and played more than they would have if Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Andrew Wiggins, if those guys were there all season. These guys don't see the minutes that they were getting. But we saw the injuries to that roster, and these guys played all year. He averaged almost 30 minutes a game as well for a rookie, so that's impressive. He played a whole lot all year, which is why he had that impressive 14-4 stat line. So Eric Pascal is my forward, underrated, first team rookie team for me. Other forward, this is an easy decision for everybody. For some people, their rookie of the year. I can't quite give it to him because of the only 19 games played. But either way, arguably the next face of our league. Zion Williamson is at my next forward position. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 58% from the floor, 46% from the 3-point line, even though he didn't necessarily take too many as of late. But either way, a very impressive stat line for a rookie. Averaging 23 points, 7 rebounds, scored 30 points over 3 times. Arguably this year's rookie of the year. Again, only played 20 games, so I can't quite give it to him in comparison to a guy like Ja, who's played all year at a high level. Either way, Zion, like I said, arguably the next face of our league. He's one of the next up-and-coming players, I did a topic on it. He's arguably, if you're taking players for the next 10 years, some people are taking Zion as that guy. So we know what he is. When he's on the floor, when his game is televised, it means people are watching, people are tuning in. So people love this guy, rightfully so. Zion Williamson also on my first team. Let's see. At my center position, I put he's arguably a forward, but I'm going to slot him at the center. Brandon Clark for Memphis as well. He's also in part, it has to do with the success Memphis has had. 12 points, 6 rebounds, a 62% field goal percentage, 40% from the 3-point line. So he's playing very well, an underrated name, not a guy you've heard of all season, if not at all. So he's getting 12, 6, 62% from the floor, 40% from the 3-point line. He's helping his guy, Ja Morant, getting the Memphis Grizzlies to that 8th spot so far. So that is my first team, for my All-NBA. That's my first team. I got Ja Morant, Kendrick Nunn, Eric Pascal, Zion Williamson, and Brandon Clark. I'd love to know what you guys think of that list. Sorry, I had to pop my back real quick. You guys know how it is. Either way, let me know what you guys think of that list. I think it could have gone either way. Let's go ahead and move to the second team, because some of you guys, that's where some of you guys are, the missing players are, okay? So my all-rookie second team. At the first guard, this was a tough decision. I ended up going with Kobe White, from the Chicago Bulls. Point guard, 13 points, 3 assists, shooting 35% from the 3-point line, almost under 40% though from the field. So it was a hard decision for me to put him in here, but I think he's an up-and-coming player. I think he's one of the better point guards in this class. I wouldn't put any other point guard necessarily above him, besides Ja and Kendrick Nunn. But Kobe in Chicago, 13 points, 3 assists. He's in large part, they haven't done too much in Chicago this year, but what they have done, when Kobe's playing, he has played very well, or pretty well. Who knows, what's going on in Chicago. It's a Zach LaVine show, basically, in Chicago. But either way, he's playing pretty good. RJ Barrett at my other, I decided to put RJ at the forward position, actually. He's 6'6", 6'7", so I thought he could go either way. So I put RJ at my first forward position at 14 points, 5 rebounds. One of the best young pieces for that Knick team going forward. A lot of questions for that Knick team. I heard they're hiring Tom Thibodeau, probably getting Tom Thibodeau for the next 5 years. That's what we've been hearing, at least. But RJ, one of the shining young stars in New York, 14 points, 5 rebounds. He is my second team. Tyler Hero, my other guard. He's playing pretty well this season for the Miami Heat. 13 points, 4 rebounds. Can shoot the ball at a decently high clip as well. He can take and make big shots. I like him in Miami for years going forward. He's on my second team, my second all-rookie team. I like him a lot. Not a guy I necessarily knew quite much of before the season, but now I do. I'm a fan of his going forward. Tyler Hero is my second guard. For my second forward, I'm doing Hachimura from the Washington Wizards. 13 points, 6 rebounds. I think he can do a little bit of everything. I like him in Washington. Depleted, undermanned roster. Not too much to talk about. He is a young player. He's pretty legit in my opinion. Don't know too much about him, but from what I have seen, from what I do know, I like him at 13.6 rebounds. He's on my second team. For my center, also arguably a forward, PJ Washington for Charlotte, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 37% from the 3. Not too much to talk about for Charlotte. He is one of the better young players on that older roster, and bad roster to be blunt. But he is one of the better young pieces on that team. PJ Washington, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 37% from the 3. So that's my second team. Kobe White, RJ Barrett, Tyler Hero, Hachimura, and PJ Washington. First team, Ja Morant, Kendrick Nunn, Eric Pascal, Zion Williamson, Brandon Clark. My mentions, honorable mentions, gotta be Darius Garland in Cleveland, Terrence Davis, from Toronto, and DeAndre Hunter from Atlanta, my Virginia guy. So those are my mentions. Those are my teams. Let me know what you guys think. Those are some decent names for the up-and-coming, players in this league. Obviously, the two highlights in Moran and Zion Williamson, the two heavyweight, fighters for this Rookie of the Year award. We'll see who ends up with the award. I think it's pretty much a toss-up, though Ja probably deserves it playing all year, even though Zion is the better player. So who knows? Those are my rookie teams, guys. A lot of decent rookies on those teams. But that's going to be it for today's episode for the GSMC Basketball Podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, go check us out on Facebook. Go check us out on Twitter as well, our social media pages. Like the pages. Go ahead and leave us a comment if you please, if you really enjoyed today's episode. Thank you again for the continued support for me. Please continue to support the podcast throughout the week. Me, Bryce, Nick. I'm gonna be right back on Thursday. The NBA is back on Thursday, so make sure you keep on watching the Scrimmage Games. On Thursday, I'm gonna do a preview of the games, Clipper-Laker game and that Pelican and Jazz game. So be back here on Thursday for that information. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday, as will the NBA.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.